Very similar. So, that said, starting off, Glorious has taken a ban on Nazebo once again. Wildfire is banning out Kerrigan.
Wow. Okay.
Glorious starts off with their first pick, taking Tychus again. Of course, no surprise there. He's a very strong hero. And then we see them immediately move into Vala Falstad. This is where things are differing a little bit. Previous game, they'd taken Falstad Zeratul, and we had mentioned this multiple times in many team fights of the last game. Vala was a problem. They said, okay, we don't necessarily need to come up with an answer for that. We just take Vala. That could work. I mean, we'll just see how the rest of the game plays out, of course, but certainly one way to go about dealing with that.
Vala Falstad is really strong. I mean, the three ranged assassins that people are most scared of, I guess four now, Nazebo being thrown into the mix, is really, it's Nazebo, Tychus, Vala Falstad. I mean, those are those ranged assassins that you're scared of. And last game, I mean, obviously we saw the Tychus Vala just having so much power. Like, they just, you have the strafe and you just got Tychus just unloading on you. It's a lot of damage.
And Vala is very manageable, but you have to have something set aside to deal with that strafe. If you just let it run rampant and you're hitting 3+ heroes every time in that strafe, the fight's not going to end well for you.
Yeah, and unless you can get that Divine Storm, unless you can get the hook out of Stitches.
Something.
I mean, hooks didn't really do a lot for them. They got the pick on the Rainer at the start of the team fight at the second tribute, I think it was, maybe the third. And it didn't even matter. Like, they got the early kill, but it still wasn't enough.
Yeah, and we saw that Stitches also had taken Gorge, and that had very little consequence as well. So, not to say that the Stitches was playing bad, but if you don't get those crazy hooks, if you're growing Gorge, then you're not going to get too much effectiveness out of the Stitches other than just the slam damage and the interrupt on stun at level 16 if you choose to go with that. That said, even on Cursed Hall, I almost would have liked to have seen him go Putrid Bile just because of the tight corridors. And if you're not feeling super confident picking those hooks, because there's a lot of people on the team that you had Chen and Arthas. If you don't grab either of those, it's not gonna help your position at all in terms of the team because they're not going to die.
Yeah.
So if you're not feeling confident going up to level 10, and you should be able to gauge that up to that point, make the switch. Go into Putrid Bile to get that extra effectiveness and extra TPS. You get slow. It's nice.
This is Sergeant Hammer. Is going to be
Sergeant Hammer
picked up here by Glorious.
Yeah,
now
Glorious. It's different. Don't think I can recall any games that Glorious has taken Hammer. Sometimes we see it out of Clairvoyance.
Poom saying in chat
shenanigans.
All right, so Miss Hammer, and Poom's like, how do you know she isn't married?
You can't make those judgments, Workplace, that's no good. All right, so we should talk about the rest of this draft because there's some interesting things that have happened. Glorious was able to pick up Arthas and Zeratul after this Vala Falstad pick. Zeratul is big. That's Kubi's cat sighting. I'm sure you guys are excited about that. So Zeratul is usually not that important, but everyone is well aware that Glaurung is a very, very strong Zeratul player, and they were giving that up. So I almost wonder if they should have gone Vala Zeratul instead, but I don't know. It's so hard to say. Either way, you're giving up Arthas or Zeratul, one of the two. It's based on what they're banning out. They're banning out Kerrigan. Are they actually more afraid of Kerrigan than they are of either ZP's Arthas or Glaurung Zeratul? That's something you have to ask yourself.
It's really questionable because Kerrigan is a pivotal hero, but looking at their team, there's nothing that stands out to me. Like who are they worried about getting destroyed by Kerrigan? Now, if you have Vala on your team, Kerrigan becomes a scary threat because Kerrigan really does wreck Vala. She dives on her and she stuns her immediately. She has two ways to disrupt strafe, and she can dive on him. So maybe that was their plan last time, and Vala got stolen. What was Vala's pick last game? Was it an early pick?
It was pretty early. It was the second pick for Glorious.
Second pick. So maybe that was what they were hoping for with the ban out. But this game we got them pretty early. Looks like the game is going here.
Yes, we are getting started. So the other final picks for Glorious, we have Hammer and Brightwing, and on the other side for Wildfire, we have Tassadar, Uther, and Stitches once again.
Okay, very cool. Well, we're going to get to see Glaurung's Zeratul, which is very exciting. It's going to be Dragonshire.
Yep.
Durgan.
Dargan.
Excuse me.
Like you're saying, so keep an eye on the Zeratul if you want to see some nice play from him. Not saying that they're going to win because they have Glaurung Zeratul, but he does play him at a very,
very exciting to watch.
It is. So. Wow. Okay. So moving into game number 2, we have on Dragonshire for Glorious. Glaurung, of course, will be playing Zeratul. We talked about him a good bit. ZPs will be on Arthas, Syracuse on Tychus, Cathan Luck playing Sergeant Hammer this game, and Nirak on Brightwing.
On the other half of the map, we have ESV Wildfire once again. Bims glitching into the wall. I've actually never seen this.
It's a good one.
Iacona Pickles and Bims here playing their heroes respectively. Vala played by Wargreymon and Stitches once again played by Poom.
Yep. So we'll have to see what changes go into Poom's play. They don't have anything that's super critical to interrupt this time, so perhaps not as much pressure on him to deal with Vala's strafe, or if they had Nazebo, of course he's banned out in this situation, but if they had something to interrupt, there's not as much pressure on Poom in that situation.
Actually blocking their creeps, you can actually just run around and kind of just slow your creep wave down to kind of slowly experience from your enemies. So they're using 3 players to just kind of bungle them and keep them on their side of the map. Not bungle, but slow them down.
What this ends up doing is pulls the fight a little bit closer to your towers, and it forces the other team to engage just a little bit further. I mean, you're not doing anything in the first 20 seconds of the game anyway. So you may as well take these small advantages where you can if you have 3 people pushing down a lane, which is something that we see commonly on Dragonshire. You may as well block out those creeps just a little bit to give yourself a slight edge.
Well, we saw a lot of damage going down the Bims, so that's something we're going to see a lot of. Like, they're going to want to just burn down the false as much as they can, because Iacona and Pickles, Tassadar, Uther, 2 heroes that are very, very hard to kill, and if they're running 3 on bottom, I mean, that's going to be a big goal out of them. But, I mean, we're going to see a lot of rotations out of the Zeratul in general. He's not necessarily going to hang on the bottom lane, and Arthas actually got very low here in the top lane. Glaurung here to give the support, but he took a lot of damage.
I was curious to see how that actually went down. Perhaps he got pulled into one of the towers. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of in terms of Stitches being able to deal that much DPS to an Arthas, so he probably just pushed a little bit too far forward.
Boom! Look at him. He's got 2v1 in this lane, and he's just holding it like a boss right now.
That said, though, Glorious does have control of the top shrine, and we see that Wildfire, respectively, on the bottom, has control of that as well. So it's going to be pretty even so far. And we do see commonly on Dragonshire that this type of thing happens. You might have a rotation in the situation where Zeratul is going to be sticking top lane just to make sure that they keep control of that. If one team gets control of both shrines and channels the middle shrine, they get the Dragon Knight, which gives them a large amount of pushing powers. Of course, no team is going to want that. It's the easiest way to do it is to just keep control of one shrine, other team keeps control of the bottom, and it can be a bit passive, maybe a less exciting game in terms of team fighting up until perhaps level 7 when they get level 7 talents, or level 10 when they get their heroics.
Well, we do have our level 4 talents with nothing huge here. Right, Syracuse getting pretty low as we have the rotation from Wargreymon, but not going to be enough to get the kill here. Pretty aggressive rotation from Wargreymon. I like it. Not going to lose too many creeps. He might lose 1 or 2 here, but no, actually not going to lose any.
Hey, did you see the Sergeant Hammer skin? Look at that.
Cooey. Does that
so nice.
Does
Look
that
at that skin. I mean, it's got to be one of the best skins in the game, right?
It very well might be.
Okay, so I'm going to run through the talents really quick. Only one that's jumping out at me as perhaps a choice is Sergeant Hammer has opted to go with the little bit of extra range at level 4 for the auto attacks. Sometimes you see people taking Vampiric Assault, especially when you combine that up with First Strike at level 13. You can just siege up and hit towers and just heal your health all the way back up, which is really nice.
Pretty aggressive rotation here with Glaurung and Syracuse going in after Wargreymon almost getting the kill. Just one more hit would have done it, but Glaurung knows he's not going to get aggressive. He could have bolted over the wall, could have blinked over the wall, but would have cost him his life.
Another nice choice I see is out of Pickles. On Tassadar, he has opted to go with the Oracle upgrade, which reduces the cooldown of Oracle. Of course, you're going to need that in this situation, dealing with Glaurung Zeratul, who's always stealth. It reveals stealth units and gives you a much larger sight radius to get that sort of... it appears as though we have a bit of a problem with XSplit. Perhaps it has crashed. Not sure what you guys can hear on our end.
The stream should still be live, but it's going to screw up our overlays, and then we'll have to restart after this match. But nothing we can do about that. We're just going to have to keep going forward without being able to do any of our production things, unfortunately.
Okay, so level 7, this one's jumping out at me, is that Sergeant Hammer has decided to go with First Aid. We also see First Aid on Tychus, so a lot of survivability, Rune Tap on Arthas. It's going to be tough to kill these people. Actually, no, that I think about it, Sergeant Hammer does commonly take First Aid. They remove some options on that talent tier. So they might go that just for the extra survivability.
Well, we got the golems here pushing on the bottom. They're just going to get this first tower. I mean, it's really low at this point, but we have the rotation here from Glaurung Stage. He's going to try to go on Bims immediately to get that damage. With Uther, though, we have a lot of healing available. Bims going to be just fine. Backing it up. Syracuse The first aid in the shielding from Brightwing Shield Ally actually just, or Protective Shield
from Uther putting down that extra shield's really, really nice. Oh, no, you're right.
And
Sorry.
Yeah,
it was Brightwing. They
I mean, both sides.
Yeah,
we saw the big kills on go on Bims, and then Syracuse got very low on the Tychus, and he barely lived from Brightwing
very, very, very clutch.
Yeah,
so that was
teams,
nice play.
well done. No deaths, no kills.
Yeah, so we mentioned this already. It's been a very passive game, although it looks as though Glorious is trying to make a power play here to cap that bottom shrine, and we can see that Zeratul and Tychus are both moving forward to try to get that cap control of the middle shrine area. Glorious was unsuccessful, of course, in taking this bottom shrine, so we see them going back. Glorious does have the edge up, about a 2/3 level advantage going into level 10, which can be big. They might make a power push to go for that bottom shrine once they have their heroics up. We'll have to see what their plan is. And we do see them rotating down. That might be the plan.
Yeah, well, I mean, right now we have the cap, like you said, on the top tower. ZPs have been holding it for quite a while now, and they want to get this Dragonite. Bims is very low.
Oh, look at the timing on this.
The body blocks here from Glaurung, forcing him to use his E to get through here. The heroic is just there, just in time, and that's enough to get the kill.
The timing of that was impeccable. As soon as they capped level 10, they knew the moment that it would hit. He blinked right in front, knew they would have the extra DPS out of Sergeant Hammer. They could get aggressive if things went poorly. They had Void Prison, they had Emerald Wind to push things out if things didn't go their way, and now we see the Glaurung is pushing forward. All they have to do was deal with Strafe here. No grenade?
Very, he used a grenade already. Very interesting Void Prison going down. He thought he'd be able to cap it, but the Strafe, he went forward and he was able to strafe and deal a ton of damage, getting them both very low. Hammer just sat in the bottom, dishing out a lot of damage, though. Look at this wall. It's gone immediately. So even though they didn't get the Dragonite, they weren't in bottom lane, they weren't soaking bottom lane, so they have a further level advantage here for Glorious, and they also got all that damage done.
Sergeant Hammer is notably very strong on this map because of all the areas that you can hide the mines into, and with the extra range, it can be difficult to deal with her if she gets into the right position. And we see that she was able to harass with those mines. They had to rotate down 4 people bottom lane right now, and of course this gives Glorious very good control of top and middle lane, and we see that they have taken almost just a little bit more than a level lead going into level 12. This will give them a leg up getting into the level 13 talents. Perhaps that will net them a Dragonite. We will have to see.
Well, Poom taking a lot of damage here. You got the nice hook on Syracuse. He forces Glaurung to bolt or blink back on out, and Pickles is taking a lot of damage to the Venom. Almost enough to kill, but the shield is going to keep him alive here. The Strafe doing work once again, and the Divine Storm gets a kill. And ZP's that shock and awe gets the kill on the Tychus.
Okay, if you guys could see my face right now, my jaw is hitting the floor. That was just, everything was so positioned so well. They had the Strafe going and dealing tons of damage, and Bims knew exactly where Tychus is going to be to get that shock and awe off. It's just really, really, really nice play. That said, Gloria still has control of both shrines, so they're not going to be able to get too much off of this advantage. Basically, they're going to push forward to take both of those shrines back. I don't think this will net them a Dragonite, but it does get them back into the game a little bit. They're only down by maybe 60% of a level advantage right now. And both people that had died in that fight are now back up. They are moving back to mid lane.
Nirak is in a tough spot here, though. The stun goes down, but he backs on up. No Divine Storm is used. It's probably still on cooldown from that last fight, actually. Nirak taps the well, and he's going to heal up really quick with his passive. Now, both, like you said, Dragonite has been taken, but ZP's is going to cap it here for Gloria. So no Dragonite available for either team. The hook goes out, attempting to pull him out of there, but no luck.
Yeah, and at that point, he has to kind of make a guess as to what part of the shrine he's standing on, because he has no vision of the area once it goes back into Gloria's favor, or even neutral in that matter.
And just pretty back and forth here in this bottom lane. I mean, bottom lane is often the place where most of the action happens on this map, as it has the most mercenary camps that push. You have 3 camps that push bottom, 0 camps that push mid, and 1 camp that push the top lane.
So we see that Wildfire is representing bottom lane very heavily. Glorious has backed up to take their Giants. And just really quick, I wanted to mention some talents that are popping out into me at level 13. We see double Relentless coming out of Arthas and Tychus. There's enough CCs on the other team that they need to deal with this, perhaps out of Stitches. And more importantly, Uther's Divine Storm. They'll be able to get out of that sooner. And we see double Shrink Ray coming out of Wildfire. We have a huge fight setting up. A nice Void Prison went down.
Well, a Void Prison is there. We have the Odin get ready to roll just immediately. Iacona is really far forward, taking a lot of damage. The Shock and Awe goes down as well as the Divine Storm, but not enough. Nirak's Emerald Wind pushed people back a little bit, but getting that hammer in the front line is just going to get him closer to dealing more damage. Just kind of unloading on them right now. Poom needs to keep backing up. Bim's very low as well. The Odin doesn't have a lot of time left on it, so he's really just kind of back on up here. There it goes. And Chthon Luck is taking a lot of damage as Wargreymon could offensively bolt here. The hook, if that hook hit anyone, they would be dead.
Oh, for sure.
But right now, 1-1 in the depths.
Yeah, a very one kill went down for both teams very quickly, and then we see just a lot of poking back and forth. Glorious did have control of that shrine, but it seems as though there was enough health available to Wildfire for them to push into that bottom shrine. Now, shrines are split once again, 1-to-1. Top shrine for Glorious, bottom shrine for Wildfire.
Look at Bim's fly. He's going to go cap that top shrine. That's going to give both shrines here to Wildfire, but we see that Glaurung is on his way up. He knows something's happening. He's going for Bim's right away. We have the Brightwing coming in to try to secure this kill.
Can he still get it? Does he have a Singularity Spike?
Does he?
Probably already used it. Oh, okay, really, really nice
Gets
kill.
it.
And the Arcane Flare was ready from Narak there. He had that position nicely led. All right, so we got a little bit of downtime, perhaps. Oh, a really, really nice hook from Poom, but it seems as though the dash from Syracuse is going to get him out of there. The rest of the team wasn't quite in position to capitalize on that. Nicely played.
Luck isn't
Boosters
really
are available?
kind of, yeah, okay, he's able to boost them now.
Yep.
So yeah, they're just going to cap this bottom shrine, so it's going to give 1-to-1 shrines once again here. Pretty back and forth in terms of the shrines. We have Brightwing coming down with a face shift. Flower taking a lot of damage. The strafe is enough to get the kill. Emerald Wind just kind of disrupting everyone. Poom is going to fall if he doesn't back on up here.
Okay.
He does get out.
That was actually really, really nice reactions from Iacona there. The idea from Zeratul is to blink in, and once he's level 13, he has an ability called Wormhole, which within a second and a half after blinking in, if you tap Blink again, you go back to the place that you started from. So the idea with Zeratul is to blink in, throw all of your abilities down, blink back out. Iacona was on point. He was ready for that. As soon as he blinked in, bam, Divine Storm went down.
One sec. We saw the hook go down and the the polymorph went out reactively, and then we had a Gorge go down kind of out of desperation, and Poom fell pretty much no matter what, because he was really out of position there. If he got that hook, I don't even know what he was looking for, because even if he hooked Brightwing, like, she's going to be fine. But I just like the play of the Brightwing, seeing the hook going out and just polying, because it will stop it no matter what.
Sure. Yeah, that was very, very nice heads-up play from Narak there.
First Dragonite of the game.
We do see a Dragonite, yep. I would say that Glorious, we don't have like a stat counter for this type of thing just yet, but I would guess that Glorious has had the shrine control overall on the two shrines more often than not than Wildfire. So it makes sense that they were able to cap this first shrine. We see a really, really nice Emerald Wind going off.
Yeah, I mean, that's
able to get him out.
Wind. The strafe is stopped almost instantly, but the Shock and Awe is enough to get the kill there on Cthulhu's Sergeant Hammer. Dragonite still doing a lot of work here. They did get the fort in the bottom lane, and they're going for this middle fort. ZP's has been smacking away, but with all 5 members rotating up, ZP's is going to fall so quickly here. He just needs to back on up, and he can't get the
He does have Army of the Dead available underneath this. That will more than likely get him out of that situation, especially once he has Stone Skin at level 16, which he opted to take.
But, I mean, look at this. Glorious is in all 3 lanes, and Wildfire's in 1. Meaning the level lead is just oh my goodness, that was close.
Yeah, if he had hit that, he had already used his blink to get into the position that he was in. Even, if he was able to use Wormhole immediately after, though, just about put him in place. There was no getting out. He did have Void Prison available, so he would have been to hit every single member of the other team that was in the area to survive. Of course, the hook didn't hit. It was not a huge situation for them, but okay.
Well,
they did a lot of damage.
They did a lot of damage to all 3 lanes. They only managed to get the 1 fort, but the split push was real. Yeah. Wildfire just kind of rotated as 5 to make sure they could thwart whatever was in each lane. And it was the safe play to do to stay together. Right. And they're going for these knights now, but it looks like Glorious might be ready to contest. They've got 3 here. They're grabbing their knights, but they might be able to try to stall it out. And no, they're actually not going to.
I mean, they have some options there. They could have tried to take that fight if they were aware of how many members of Wildfire were there. Not in their interest to do that because the way that their team is split up. I like exactly what they're doing here. They said, okay, we're well aware that you guys are really, really far down in the bottom lane. We can either aggressively take your knights, which they're successfully doing at the moment, or they could have taken forts, either the top fort or the middle fort. Well, middle fort being a bit riskier, but it has less health. So,
well, we have Glaurung going in right away. He did, like you said, he used his cooldowns and he got out. Oh my goodness, I can't even talk right now. Poom gets the Gorge. Oh my goodness, but this Void Prison helps him set up to try to keep the Cthulhu alive. The Divine Throw and the Shock and Awe gets so much value, but Emerald Wind does as well. Strafe gets interrupted after a little while, and ZP's is so low. That Shock and Awe, so much damage.
Yeah, it was, again, a really nice heads-up play from Iacona there. He knew that he was in a position to get everyone, at least 3 of the members of Glorious with the Divine Storm that held everyone in place so that they could get a really, really nice Shock and Awe off. Doesn't surprise me to see that Wildfire went up quite a bit in that team fight. They were able to pick up 3 kills to 1. This is how Wildfire gets back in this game. They pick these particular situations.
All right, Koopy, I got a question for you.
Oh.
We got the hook, we got the Gorge.
Okay.
So I mean, Wildfire's in a good position because they have the hammer, kind of locked down, and they have the body blocks ready to roll.
Right.
Was the Void Prison the right decision there?
If they had Uther on their team, it's the right call to make because it's really going to come down to can you get Brightwing in there in the right position to hit that Emerald Wind. to push the other team out to save the hammer. If you don't feel confident in being able to get that situation, but this is such a heads-up call. Like Void Prison is instant. You have to just... I think you just made the snap call. All right, I'll throw the Void Prison down now. Maybe we can figure out a way to scrap to get Brightwing in there to separate everyone out. It's a lot easier to do that with Uther, but I can understand why he made the call. It didn't end up panning out for them, but it's all basically on the Brightwing in that situation.
Well, now the Dragon Knights are flipping hands, and immediately Wildfire gets it to just have full map control. We saw that Nirak was trying to cap that bottom shrine. He did have it for a second, but as soon as he saw Bims, he said, I don't want any of this. I don't know who else is around me. Backs on up.
That's what it comes down to. It's information at that point, and if you don't know where the rest of the enemy team is, that's... I mean, we can see everything. We know it was just a 1v1 situation, and you probably could have pushed him out. But they don't know that, and it's too much of a risk to take.
Exactly. So, I mean, this Dragon Knight, they just poked, they got the wall down, they got the well down, they said, okay, we take a little bit out, let's rotate up. Try to find them out of position. Now, Glaurung getting a little cheeky here. He's going to throw down a few singularity spikes, doing that extra damage, but Dragon Knight still, he's got another 35 seconds to continue to poke and prod pretty safely, by the looks of it.
Okay. So, we see that Glorious is on a little bit of an edge to hit level 20 first. It depends on how the rest of this Dragon Knight goes, to be honest with you. If they're able to take a keep out of it, or a fort,
this
will even things up.
An interesting Divine Storm.
Yeah, probably not the best place to use it, and that's that's on a 70-second cooldown.
Yeah,
you got to be careful with that. I will say up until this point, though, Iacona has hit really nice.
Syracuse gets
Divine
pulled,
Storms.
and he just gets obliterated immediately, even with the Odin. Not enough to keep him alive.
Right wing out of position. Can we get the hook?
The hook is still on cooldown, if I'm not mistaken, but ZP's is getting very low here. The Gorge is now expired as he vomits him out. ZP's using Army that to try to stay alive, but he will fall. The mines actually looked like they got the kill there from Sergeant Hammer.
So, we saw the fight start off with not the best of Divine Storms, but because they had the Dragon Knight in the position, they could kick somebody out of the fight. It ended up going in their favor, and it looks as though Glorious had overcommitted a little bit.
Yeah.
We got a game. It's pretty even right
we
now.
definitely have a game. I mean, both teams are dead even. It looks like Wildfire actually is coming back and is going to get the first level 20 of the match. We'll see what talents that pick up. We can actually look at the talent screen really quick here. Old school style, looking at the real talent screen and not our super special one. And looks like we have Twilight Archon, we have the Divine Hurricane, 2 Bolts of the Storms, and 1 Resurgence here for Wildfire.
Those are all pretty standard picks, except for Falstad has opted to go with Blink, Bolt of the Storm. That's, I think, a 40-second cooldown on a Blink of reasonable size. Usually, we'll see people take, especially combined with Overdrive, you get a 25% increase to damage on Shock and Awe if you decide to go with the upgrade. You also get more range out of it. That's normally what we'll see the Falstad take, just to get that extra burst damage. I guess just in this particular match, he's feeling not as safe as he would like to, so he's just going to say, okay, I'm just going to make sure that I don't die in any situation that I might find myself in. I'll take Bolt just for that extra mobility.
Makes a lot of sense, and Wildfire actually got a keep when we were looking at those talents, so that's one advantage they have. They have catapults in the top lane for the rest of the game, and they have the offensive knights pushing in that top lane. So
it's something that Glorious is going to have to respond to, otherwise, well, I take that back. Knights, they don't outrange the fort, or the keep, sorry. Jeez, core. They don't outrange it, so they're going to die eventually.
They will die, but they will do it. They're annoying at the very least.
Yeah, and it's something that in the previous patch you would have probably had to respond to that. And we see a really nice hook coming down from Poom. He's going to get the Gorge off the Divine Storm to zone out the rest of the team.
Okay, so this Void Prison might be the one that they needed. They get the setup, they get the transformation here on the Odin. The big red button goes down. Arthas is going to get spit out right now. ZPs will live because of that Void Prison. They were able to get him. Get this coverage for safety right there. Syracuse taking a lot of damage, and man, that was just they have to back up. It was well done. The Void Prison got the player to stay alive. They were able to save ZPs with it. And man, words are hard right now.
words are tough. So I like the way that fight started off. They picked a target and they just committed to it. They gorged. Normally, I would say Arthas is not the type of target that you want to grab in that situation. But looks like we have another team fight.
Yeah, Poom is getting very low the polymorph to try to make it so he can't eat anything to stay alive. No, he does have Resurgence to be back up in a second. He's the one member of their team that does have Resurgence. Wargreymon is getting pretty low though, but the tumble is going to get him out.
Bims.
And then Bims, actually the Singularity Spike explodes when he's behind the wall and it gets the kill.
Of course, that sticks onto you, and about a second later it pops. So if he gets both those Singularity Spikes, doesn't matter where you go, you need a shield, you need some kind of a heal to stay alive. Even if you're behind the wall, you will still perish. And that was exactly what we saw in that situation. So, geez, a lot just happened in the last like 30 seconds or so. I really like the setup of the first fight where they got the hook, the Gorge. Not the best target, but we were talking about that Void Prison setup where you pull somebody and then you move forward and get the Void Prison off. And it looks like Nirak is sort of out of position. The Blink will get him out.
Yeah.
It looks as though, yes, with the shield ally, sticky powder.
Yep.
That gives him a
Pixie
speed
dust,
boost.
Pixie dust,
yeah, sorry.
So Dragonite did get picked up here by Glorious. Now, the Bolt on Brightwing is a pretty uncommon pick. It's typically you get
That's
continuous
true, yeah.
wins. You
That's a
typically
good
get
point.
the triple waves of wins. So I like the interesting play there, and it actually saved his life once. So I'd already say like, all right, that's pretty good because dying at this point in the game, especially as a hero that's as crucial as Brightwing. I mean, you don't want that to happen. And you know, having this Dragonite, you can just see he rotated back. He got with his team. They're just playing really passively.
What is
with
Glaurung up to? He's just hiding out
He's
in the
scouting.
bottom lane.
He's
Yeah,
scouting. He's
it's
just
good.
there saying, look, they're behind their wall.
He does have double blink, so okay.
Well, they hit the hook there on ZP's, just pulling him forward. Want to damage out this Dragonite as fast as they can. Again, ZP's is just under this, so he's quite tanky.
They have so much like zoning in terms of AoE spots that they can zone out on the ground. They have the breath from Dragonite right now and the heroic Napalm Strike.
Yeah, it's a lot
From
of
Hammer,
damage.
they can just sort of put down a lot of spots on the ground, and it's like, hey, if you want to walk past this point, you're taking some damage. Something that Wildfire needs to think about as this Dragonite push goes forward.
And they get a keep. I mean, it's 20 minutes in, so the Dragonite is quite strong.
It does.
It's got
It hits
15
very, very
seconds
strong.
left, so they're not going to get a lot else done with it. They might get a few hits on these towers. Might be able to take the wall down in the next 10 seconds, but we'll see what they can do here.
Expect to see more poking. Does Wildfire commit in this situation to a team fight? Okay, that's what you need. Okay, gets a Gorge through the wall and a Void Prism.
Again, Void Prism used very defensively here. He's going to try to save his life here, but I don't think it's going to happen. No, they're not even going to try. They're just backing on up. Thunlock is forfeit.
Yeah, she does have Resurgence of the Storm. We didn't get a chance to talk about Glorious's level 20 talents. Really quick, the big thing popping out at us is here we have 2 Resurgence of the Storm. It's a very strong talent after you die, 5-second cooldown, you do respawn, and it's on 180-second cooldown before that can trigger again. There's 2 of those available to Glorious and only 1 available to Wildfire. So as the game progresses and goes further, does that give them enough of an advantage to sort of swing the fight in their favor?
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 2 bolts, 2 Resurgence, a big red button, and actually there was a lot of damage done, but that Emerald Twin was actually huge, and the Strafe is getting so much damage. Like every single game, we're seeing Strafe being such a pivotal heroic.
Yeah, which is surprising. Something that would have been very common about a month ago. It's we're just not seeing it as much. But Strafe has been doing a lot of work in these last 2 games.
It has. Now, Syracuse getting very low on his Odin. I don't know how much health he has underneath that. Thunlock, of course, on the fresh Resurgence, so it doesn't want to burn that. But Brightwing fell, so it's 1 for 1.
Right.
No Resurgence, 40 seconds on the bolt cooldown on the Death Pirates.
Probably better to lose your tank than your healer in this
I would
situation.
agree.
So this is why we see Glorious is backing up. Actually, that fight would have gone so much worse for Glorious if the Shock and Awe had hit anyone. It was just the position, just the way things ended up going. I'm not sure like how much vision he had of the situation, but he was not able to hit anyone with that Shock and Awe, especially if you pop Overdrive with that.
It was a nice angle. It's like he shot it down like a path where it should have done a lot of damage.
It was just a little bit too low on that side of the path, and everyone just happened to be on the upper side of it. If you looked at all of the members of Glorious as they walked out of that fight, you just look at it like, wow, all of them probably would have died if they had gotten hit by that Shock and Awe. 2 or 3 kills from that Shock and Awe. And that, you would see Wildfire pushing out in this situation. So unfortunately, a lot of it kind of came down to whether or not he hit that Shock and Awe with Overdrive, and especially this late in the game, it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, well, we can see, no longer just in that phase where you're soaking lanes. It doesn't matter as much. It's more about the objectives and just constantly rotating and pushing around the map. And the Dragonites the shrines have opened up once again, so we're seeing the teams each take 1 shrine. Bottom shrine for Wildfire, top shrine for Glorious.
Glaurung is scouting on the bottom lane just to see what the other team is up to. It does look like they're pushing forward pretty aggressively.
And he's taking no chances. He's like, I want none of this. I am all alone. Glorious is actually going to be Hearthing back because they see they have to defend their fort.
Probably the right call there. So it's with 1 keep down for each team. This late in the game, we're hitting about 23. Once you hit about 25 minutes, whatever team grabs the Dragonite, more often than not, that's going to result in the end of the game. The Dragonite hits really, really hard, past the 25-minute mark to the point where, even if you have the full team DPSing him down, I won't say it's that extreme, but for the most part, you're going to be able to kill the core if your team decides to dive onto it.
Well, the Dragonite got picked up really, really quickly. Wildfire saw the Hearth back, and they immediately turned around, grabbed the shrines, and because they have false side to fly up and cap that top shrine, so abusing that mobility as much as they can. They get a Dragonite, and a Dragonite at 23 minutes in the game.
Yeah, it's going to hit hard, and I would actually almost like to see them rotate up. It is a little bit harder to push on the top lane, just because of that narrow passageway of that bridge there.
The bridge of death.
If they had,
you never want to push on it.
It's so scary. It's so scary to fight on, especially somehow the Brightwing gets on the other side and pushes people out. It can be. It's not a place you want to try to take that team fight. So if they had the bottom keep already down, we might see them pushing into the core. I guess they're just going to try to take it a little bit safer. Glaurung, once again, Iacona is already there. He's ready.
And
As soon as he sees
did
him
the punt get
blinking.
the kill there? Did I see
It
that
might
correctly?
have, yeah. I think he was going to die regardless.
That's the punt. Yeah, right. Like you said, though, the bolt in, or the blink in,
The
and
blink
then the
in.
stun from Iacona.
Yeah.
Iacona's been on
He's
point.
every single time he's been ready for that. Divine Storm, immediately, as soon as he sees Zerto blink in Divine Storm, and the rest of the team is able to just pick him out. So Glarong is going to have to take, if they're ready to survive this push here, they're going to have to take a different approach to how Zeratul is going to be effective in these team fights.
And Wildfire wants to take this game
Yeah,
3.
I don't
They have
see-
another 24 seconds here on the Dragonite. It's just Syracuse, ZPs, and Nirak trying to defend here. Wargreymon, look at the amount of damage coming on the Dragonite. Each hit is like 5 or 10%.
Yeah. And I just don't see any way that they're going to be able to defend this, and it looks as though Wildfire is going to take game number 2 on Dragonshire. We're going to game 3.
Well,
we knew this would be a close series.
We
This
did.
is exciting. This is very exciting. I like to see
We
this
did.
back and forth action between two really, really good teams. I'm
Well-
curious to see what map they're going to go to.
yeah.
Do we see people pulling SMG shenanigans and going back to the same map that they just lost on, switch the team composition up perhaps a little bit?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Now, I would bring it to the caster
Right.
screen, but XSplit is kind of ripperoni and cheese right now, so we actually have to kill the stream.
Yeah.
And we'll be back in just a moment, so stay tuned.
Sure.
And we'll be back with game number 3 of this as we fix our setup. So the stream will go down for a moment, but we'll be back very
Yeah, you
quickly.
guys stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with game number 3 between Glorious and Wildfire.
And while we're getting ready to come back, tell your friends, tell your
Yeah,
family, because if they've
absolutely.
never watched Heroes of the Storm, it goes into closed beta January 13th, and the game is right around the corner, so tell them
course.
to come check out this tournament because it's the biggest
This is a big
final
one.
tournament of 2014.
Yes, absolutely.
All right,
We'll be
guys.
back in just a minute, guys.